We're back, people. What is up? Going over, nice little recap of this most recent Miami Dolphins game, going over, their win over the Commanders. Definitely a close one. Pretty, pretty ugly. One sec, I just gotta check my settings. Make sure this is good. Okay, cool. But yeah, definitely a tough game to watch. But they come out with a win. It is tough to win in the NFL. We see it every single week. This type of thing happens. So we're just gonna sit here, chill, talk about it, ask me some questions. I did just go over the film. I posted my offensive film breakdown earlier today. Got plans for film breakdowns all throughout the race. A lot of rookies to do, like Ollie Gordon, I think Kenneth Grant. We got a Jonah video planned, a Zeke Biggers video planned because I thought he's showing some nice stuff over the last couple games, getting some action, which I thought was cool. A lot of the rookie, D tackles I think have been showing up. Definitely at least flashing. What's up, Dub Dub? Yeah, just get us streaming. I just watched the defense too, so I made my offensive film breakdown, and then I just watched the defense. I have clips ready already for like a defense and Ollie Gordon video. I just have to record that. Defense was weird. Let's start with the defense because I already did my offensive film breakdown, and I kind of give my thoughts on that already. The defense had a weird game because, like, results wise, they only gave up 16 points, and they did a really good job of bending but not breaking, only giving up one touchdown. But there were some certain process things throughout the games where I don't think the defense played their best. They did really struggle to get off the field. At the end of the day, even in a game where you're struggling, like I think the defense was, giving up 16 points is really, really solid. So I got to give them that credit, even though it wasn't perfect. I think the refs were also trying to screw the defense a few different times. Like that one PI on Jack Jones was horrible. They had a couple other calls like that that I thought were like I don't even know what was going on. But they stepped up when it mattered to go. Jack Jones had that big interception. Uh, Jordan Brooks had 20 tackles. I don't even think Jordan Brooks necessarily played even close to his best game. Some other people made some plays. I don't understand why Judon's playing more than Chop. It really doesn't make any sense to me. Because at least Chop will flash that ability to make some plays. And I just rewatched that the play where Chop was taking down Mariota in the end zone and he threw it away, right? And they didn't call intentional grounding. I don't know how they didn't call intentional grounding. He was clearly still in the pocket. Like he's easily in the pocket. I was just like, I just watched it back. I'm like, how did they not call that? That's crazy. But yeah, probably takes a while for people to get in here. Some unfortunate news we found out today is it looks like Juju Brents is going to have season-ending foot surgery. He got to shine last week. He played most of the game this week as like the starter and everything, but that was the kind of the deal with Brents is he was an injury-prone guy with a lot of talent, and the injury showed up. Hopefully, I think he at least showed enough that like, hey, he's under contract for next year. He's going to be on the roster next year. We'll see if he could ever have like a healthy season. That is unfortunate for him, but it is sort of a. At least we got to see enough of him to feel at least a little bit better about his long-term outlook with the team. Also, another thing, Dolphins have a bye week coming up. They are expecting to get some people back from the bye, like Rasul Douglas. Looks like Austin Jackson will be back as well, which is cool. We might even get Darren Waller back. I would love to see James Daniels come back too because I want to see that O line. Because the O line, I would really want to see James Daniels back because you watch this game. Cole Strange was definitely the weak link on the O line in this one because it was one of Borum's better games. Borum was like really good in the run game. It was one of Jonah's better games as well. Like he didn't get like Jonah didn't have any like crazy bad reps in this one that at least like I noticed on like first watching. And then Paul and Brewer like did their typical thing, did their thing. Shout out Achan, Ollie Gordon. They had good games. Other players to point to. I actually thought Julian Hill had one whiffed block on the goal on a goal line run. But other than that, I thought Julian Hill actually did a pretty good job returning, which was nice to see. I think the tight end room is pretty interesting right now with how they're playing. I like the Dulcich addition. I think Julian Hill's having a definite bounce back season. Rucci and his limited playing time has looked okay. We know what we got out of Waller when Waller was here. Lots of interesting things. Seems like. I'm guessing YouTube probably didn't push this out. Also, I did start a Substack for like my draft stuff. If people want to subscribe to that, they can. It's links in the description. Because the draft film breakdowns are very difficult to get across on YouTube. Those are where I get copyrighted a lot. I had my first ever video blocked today. They blocked my Kenyan Sadiq video. So now I'm going to post them on that Substack, and I will still post draft film breakdowns on YouTube, but I'm going to post them. I'm going to post a lot more on Substack because I have a lot of freedom. Marshall, yeah, Marshall made some plays. He didn't have any major negatives, and he didn't play a ton, but I thought he played pretty good in his snaps. He had a really big pass breakup at the end of the game. When the Commanders were driving at the end, like their last field goal attempt that they missed, Marshall had a big breakup on that second down, which was nice. So good on him for doing that as well. They kind of limited. Actually, let me check. Let me check the list real quick. I'm gonna check the playing time just to see what everyone's like percentage is at, because they definitely made some interesting decisions in this one when it came to playing time. So let's find Trader. Yeah, Trader only played 15%. That was a weird one to me. I don't know why, because Trader had been like one of your guys who had been ascending a lot, and since Ashton Davis returned from injury, they played Davis and Melifonwu with more snaps than Trader, which I personally don't really like that. The other safeties didn't play bad. Like Ashton Davis had some good plays. You know, Melifonwu had that pick last week. It's just I would rather see the young guy out there that's been playing pretty well. Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah, Judon played 38 snaps and Chop played 37. So they basically played the same. I don't know why it's that close. Like to me, Chop should be up in the Chubb range of snaps, and then Judon should be like at least 10-15% less than what Chop is at. Zeke Biggers played 34% of the snaps, and thought he had like 4 or 5 really good plays versus the run. He did have one snap that I think he would like back that wasn't his best rep. You'll see that in the defensive film breakdown, and also I'll probably break it down in just his breakdown at some point this week. Definitely leave some comments about like which guys you want to see first, because tomorrow I'm planning to do Ollie and then the defense. So both of those tomorrow, and then after that it's like up in the air. I got people planned to do for sure. I just don't know which order to do it. I got Kenneth Grant, Jack Jones, Zeke Biggers, Jonah, and then those will probably be the first 4. And then after that we'll play by ear. Damn. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this team ends up, because they actually have a fairly easy schedule coming up, which will be interesting to see how that plays out. We can talk about the end of the game too. The end of the game, the the questionable choice by McDaniel, because I don't think this was McDaniel's best game in terms of decision making. I did really like his run game play design. I thought his run design in this game was really good. A lot of the mix-up that the Miami Dolphins were doing, it was like peak run game of what you would see in the McDaniel era, and the Dolphins ran the ball very well off of that. It was just certain decision making, especially once they got in the red zone. That was not my favorite from McDaniel. I mean, I wish he just took the field goal at the end. I understand there is a logical reasoning behind why he didn't, but I do wish that he ended up taking that field goal. I really should probably. I just had to stream real quick. I probably should like let it sit up for a little bit longer. Dude, Achan is so good. I just watch Achan play. He's just so. Like his film, his footwork, his contact balance, his burst acceleration, his ability as a receiver. It's so good. Yep. Yeah, that's what I mentioned in my film breakdown. At the end, I talked about that. It starts with the Achan stepping out of bounds, and then he does also get injured. So I wonder if that extra time did make Mike decide, like, hey, they have so much time to get a field goal. I'm just going to play for a touchdown. And if we don't score, then you also take away like a fourth down because then they're in four down territory if you're up. So I think that's the logic behind it. I just with how that game was going, I think it was just like you got to take the points, force them to like put them in a situation where they need to tie it. Especially because you were much worse in that game, finishing down inside goal to go situations. Let's see if anything else is on this playtime percentage sheet that's interesting. The usual suspects: Minka, Dotson, Brooks playing every snap. Jack Jones played every snap but one. Sealer playing a ton. Ashton Davis, Bradley Chubb, Brents. How much did Marshall play? Marshall played 19 snaps, so he got some at nickel, and then he played when Brents came out. He got to play on the outside. And then yeah, Grant and Phillips played their typical about around that 50% range, where they're like D tackle 2 and 3. Did we see Butler in this game? Was Matthew Butler active? I'm missing his name. Interesting. Cameron Good played 7 snaps at edge. Bonner played 1 snap. Oh, hey, good on for Bonner because I feel like I haven't mentioned him. Bonner had that big, mess up last week. He did have the pretty clutch fumble recovery on. I mean, it's just a fumble recovery, but on that punt return, coming out with that at the end of the pile, got to give him at least some credit there. Damn. 245. Yeah, but let me hit me with any questions you guys have. I know there's not a ton of people in here right now because I just went live real quick without letting it like save or anything for people to like see that it was happening. Yeah, but hit me with, or just like hit me with any statements either, thoughts you had on the game, how you guys were feeling during it, because I was fresh. That was one of the more frustrating games to watch. Is Bonner just Tanner Connor on defense? I would say no, because I actually think Bonner, like to me, if Tanner Connor was never on an NFL roster ever again, I would not be surprised. I think Bonner is a guy who like at least belongs on an NFL roster. But I get what you're saying. Like whether it's practice squad, but like Connor, someone I could see like his road with Miami should have ended long. I think there's at least some talent to work with Bonner. Mm, yeah, definitely. Probably would have more of a kick situation if they ran that. For some reason, lockdown was highly critical to. I was very surprised for an inoffensive performance too for people to be so enraged. I mean, I don't think it was to his best game or anything, but like, I did from watching the film, I didn't see too many plays he like let in that type of game. There wasn't too many plays I thought he like left on the field. It wasn't perfect. He had some missed plays. I think he had that one pass down the field that he tried to force it and it could have been intercepted. Um, then there was the play, where him and Dulcich weren't on the same page. Other than that, it wasn't just. It was a weird game where I just felt like he wasn't super involved. They ran the ball a ton. They put the back of the offense on the running game, even in like the high pressure situations. They mostly tried to run the ball to convert. It just didn't end up working out. Yeah. Um. Also thought Jordan Phillips, had his typical game. I don't think I talked about Jordan Phillips really. Just doing his thing versus the run, very strong at the point of attack, like super physical. Like right, this is Dante Colinelli just posted this on Twitter, but yeah, just watch Jordan Phillips, so strong at the point of attack. I mean, this is also a good play from Chop. You see Chop involved versus the run. Kenneth Grant taking on a double team, holding his own too. It's just crazy how much different a lot of these young guys look compared to earlier in the season. Because like if you saw this play right here, especially Grant, this taking on a double team like this earlier in the season, he would be getting pushed back like multiple yards. The fact that he doesn't really get pushed back at all, especially when he loses a little bit of balance right there, like he's able to anchor on one foot. Phillips even like Phillips gets single teamed initially, and he just bullies this center. That center is not a very strong player, and then him and Chop are able to make that tackle at the point of attack. Yeah, yeah, maybe ever to be like at least in the McDaniel era, it feels like it's like the least I ever felt the need to talk about like Tua after a game. There just wasn't much to be said, which sometimes is the case with QBs. You know, it's just sometimes that's how the game goes, and it's just how the defense. I think that's how the Commanders played it. Like they clearly came with a game plan to stop a lot of the passing stuff. Yeah, yeah, they definitely took advantage of Washington's center. That guy was not very strong. But the rest of their line has been playing pretty good. I know their tackles have been playing well. They have, Tunsil, obviously, but then they have their right tackle, Connerly, their rookie. He's been doing pretty solid as of recently. Uh, Dolphins got him a few times, but other than that, he had some good, mostly good moments. Dun, 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 dun. Nice. Let me see. Do you want the Dolphins to tank for a better pick, or do you think creating winning culture is the move? To me, I mean, one, I don't think teams ever actually tank. Like these players are playing for their careers and everything. Um, I never root for losses. It's just not like my thing. It's not what I happens. Like when the Dolphins are at this point in the season, they do lose. I'm not as like upset about it. But this year specifically, I don't think this draft is super crazy up top. Like unless you have like a top three pick and you really like a quarterback, or you get like Arville, Reese, Ruben Bain, and I don't think that's where the Dolphins were going to end up anyways. Like I don't think picking from picking 6 is that different from picking 12. Like if that's where they end up picking, and it really ends up coming down to it's more important on who you have drafting rather than where you pick, because you can get a lot of. I mean, if you know what you're looking at, you can get some good players, and I like to see fight out of the team clearly fighting. And I love the draft anyways. We're gonna have a lot of picks. It'll be fun either way. Yeah. I mean, yeah, players, coaches, they're fighting for their jobs. Like even if it's not a job with this team next year, they're fighting for like a future job. They want to put out good tape. You know, their first two right tackles probably won't be there in this draft either. Um, this is honestly, I think with the Dolphins winning, offensive lineman becomes more of a possibility, because I actually don't think the O linemen in this draft class were worth like top 5 picks, even top 10 picks. I don't think anyone was really worth it. Now they still might go top 10 just because offensive tackle is such a need, but this tackle class is weak. So if someone like, to me, with the Dolphins winning more, these are the draft prospects that become more possibility in my mind. Like someone like Caleb Downs, right? I think. Oh, let me move this. The sun's kind of coming in. Just want to get out of that a little bit. But yeah, Caleb Downs is like one of the best prospects in this class, but he's a safety, and safeties. There really hasn't been any safeties that have gone top 10 in recent times. Even like Kyle Hamilton, who's like one of the league's best safety, he went like 14 or something. Now, if the Dolphins end up picking in that range, I think a guy like Caleb Downs becomes more of a possibility, because then it's like, oh, Downs is obvious BPA. Let's just take Downs. But if you're picking like 7th overall, it's like there's so many good players left. Do we really want to take a safety? I think that's a lot of mindset teams have. So like guys like Caleb Downs become more of a possibility. Guys like Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end, like guys who maybe like the position value aren't there for top 10, but they end up falling out of the top 10, even if they maybe are top 10 players. Those guys become more possibilities. The tackles, if they end up falling, become a higher possibility of being a pick. It's a weird class. Saw a lot of Yeah, interior O line is good. So we can talk draft real quick. Tackle is very weak. Guard is very good. So if you want a guard, this is a class for guard. Linebacker, off ball linebacker might be the best it's been in a very long time. So if you want an off ball linebacker, you want this draft class. Very good. The Ohio State linebackers, both of them. Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, probably the top two. And then there's a lot of other guys that are out there, like Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech, Jake Golday from Cincinnati, CJ Allen from Georgia, Anthony Hill from Texas, and there's many more that I haven't even watched yet that I know people like. So it's a linebacker class. DBs is pretty good as well. I like the corner class. If the Dolphins are picking up top, I think there's going to be many corners to choose from. So I think corners in play for sure. Corners in play for Miami for sure. Depends on what happens in free agency and who ends up falling in the draft and all that, but in play. And then, yeah, D-line is also pretty good. I think the weakness of the class is tackle. Running back is weak for sure. Those are the two biggest weaknesses from what I've seen. Receiver's good. QB is decent. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. Weird. What can they do about Cole Strange? He lacks power at the point of attack. He gets displaced very easily. Yeah, so my guess is they're going to still start Cole Strange. Seaman Danster. Or Seaman Danster. I know some people will ask, like, hey, should we move Larry Borum to right guard? I would like that, but I don't know if the Dolphins would be willing to do that at this point in the season. I think they might just want to, stick with guys where they're at. I do think Jackson will come back and be the starting right tackle, even though Borum has played, decent enough. Last game was his best game. He'll still trust Jackson, where Jackson's a better player. But I do want to give Borum his credit for being a pretty serviceable guy. I know a lot of people have question marks come about him into the season, but it didn't really surprise me that he's playing better for Miami than he ever did in Chicago. Because one, in Chicago, like, it's a just completely different system with what they were doing here. A lot easier, I think, for his skill set to fit into what the Dolphins like. If we get Caleb Downs, I'll do a victory dance. Tuesday Monster. Honestly, love Rodriguez, the linebacker for Texas Tech. Yeah, but just talked about him. Dude is a dog. I have to do more of a deep dive on his film. I've only watched him live so far, so I can't give like a full assessment yet. But yeah, from what I've seen, he looks interesting. Yeah. Well, Borum's always been a better run blocker than pass blocker, and the Dolphins do a very good job of making life easy in pass protection with all the play action. And when the Dolphins are running the ball well, it's a lot easier for guys in pass pro. And that's why Borum's had rough pass pro games, but it hasn't been like as bad as it was in Chicago. Because in Chicago, it's like they were doing true drop back, and Caleb Williams also holds on to the ball way longer than what Tua does. So you get to see like it just gets like exemplified in that system, like his mistakes. Chris Brazzell. Okay, I'll be honest. Like, as someone I've seen Brazzell play in person, and I have seen a lot of the Tennessee system because I live in Tennessee and I've gone to a lot of the Tennessee games for work. The Tennessee system extremely worries me, and I do think he has a fit at the next level, but I do think he is very almost one-dimensional as a player. So I would prefer a little more of a possession big type style wide receiver. I think Brazzell is more of a big vertical stretching wide receiver. So if they were going to go for more of a possession big receiver, I think like Chris Bell, Denzel Boston, even like Elijah Surratt, those guys fit more of what I think you would look at with what you have to complement Waddle's skill set. Because I think it's pretty clear, like, Waddle didn't have his best game this last week, but I think it's pretty clear, like, Waddle is wide receiver one. I think he's shown enough. And I think everyone already pretty much knew that. Yeah, I hate Tennessee system. I hate what they do. I hate it so much. It's the worst for translating the next level, like for almost every position, but especially receiver and quarterback. And I still have to watch more of the receiver class, and I'm more so looking for like I mean I've watched a lot of the top guys, but those guys are gonna go like round one. I'm more gonna start looking like day two, day three receivers that I think could fit that. Jeremy Bernard would be interesting too. Casey Concepcion, he's not a big receiver, but I think he's good. The kid from Texas A&M, I actually think he's gonna be a good player. I think the top three in this class at receiver are Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and Mekhi Lemon. All three, I think, are going to be very good pro players. Um, yeah, I actually have Tate as wide receiver one. I know a lot of people have Tyson, but I personally have Tate. It's close. It's really like I wouldn't be surprised if Tyson has a better career if he ends up just in a better situation. Like really, I think Tate, Tyson, or Lemon, whoever ends up being the best, will probably be the person that just ends up like in the best situation. That's usually how it works out with a lot of these top guys. If we win out, we just have to worry about the Jags. They have to lose to the Colts and Broncos twice. Yeah, I mean, it pretty much comes down. The Dolphins would have to win out. That's, I mean, if they were to make it, that's what you would be focused on. Obviously, it's very, very unlikely because it's very difficult to win that many games in a row. But hey, I'm going to be rooting for it until they lose. Singleton Jr. I liked his film from last year. I have not. When he was at Georgia Tech, I liked his film. Coming into the season, I watched him. I liked what he did. I know Auburn just had horrible quarterback play, and I know they just changed QBs, and then Singleton finally got to show out what he's capable of. But I think Singleton's definitely a quality player. Behind goal line, they don't tush push or leap with Grant fullback. Uh, I just don't. Who would they like? They would have to snap the tush push to someone else, and I don't know who they would snap it to on the roster that I would trust. I guess it would be like Alec Ingold or something. Because I would not snap. I feel like Julian Hill would fumble the snap. I'm not snapping him the ball. Um, and it usually like the teams that don't tush push with their quarterback, they do it with their tight end. Like the Ravens, Mark Andrews scored like on a fake tush push, and he's like their tush push guy. Like he spun out and scored like a 40-yard touchdown or something. And I don't know if Grant's ever played fullback in his life, so I don't know if that's something they would feel comfortable doing. Um, and they've actually been very good this season, like converting on short yardage with Ollie Gordon. It just didn't happen in this game. The Dolphins just didn't convert in these spots, and I think it was more so because they got beat up front. Specifically, Cole Strange got beat up front in a lot of those situations, and it happens. So I think it's fine. I think they've been pretty good just running with Ollie. Do you think with some of the administrative we'll look at some of the administrative shakeup of the scouting, um, like they're going to make changes in the scouting department? Because I mean, I definitely expect them to. I think usually it is a weird part of the year, uh, at least from my understanding, because I have I've talked to people in the scouting world. That's what I've always wanted to do. I've learned a lot about it. I think usually teams end up making a lot of those scouting changes after the draft, like when you do make your changes, because your scouts are already out on the road. They're doing all of that work. So teams don't like to waste that work, so they still use all of that stuff. And then once the draft goes by after that, then that's when they start making changes. So I think it might be something like that. Would you consider interior line with a first rounder? I would consider, since it's hard to find in the fifth year. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a super like I'm just a big BPA guy, and I know teams really value have positional value, but I do understand. I do think there is positional value to an extent. Like I think if you have guys graded very closely, and one guy is like a more premium position, I do agree with taking the guy with more premium position. But if an interior alignment is clearly the best player, I don't mind taking it at all. Maybe not top 10 unless it's like a true stud. And I don't know if there's not a Quentin Nelson in this class, but there's a lot of good players. So I do think if you do end up picking in like that 15-ish range, like middle of the draft, because right now the Dolphins are at 11. They could really go anywhere at this point, right? Up or down. And it's very close. Like the draft picks, like teams can go up like 6, 7 spots with 1 win, 1 loss. Um, but yeah, I think interior line should be considered for sure. But it just comes. I just am a big BPA. Who are your fave day two receivers? I haven't watched enough yet, dub to say for sure, but um, it just depends who goes day two. Like Casey Concepcion, the Texas A&M guy, wouldn't be surprised if he goes day one. But I think he's viewed as like a day two guy right now. But I also don't know if he's like someone I think the Dolphins should be looking at. Oh, hopefully we're good. Oh no, did we freeze? Oh, hopefully we didn't freeze. Okay, looks like we might have froze. Uh, my screen just froze, but last time this happened, I was still here. I watched the video afterwards, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. Let me check my phone real quick. Because I might as well just keep talking, but now I can't read anything. I don't know what just happened. Let me go to my channel, see if I'm still live. I mean, it looks like I'm still live on YouTube, so that's so weird. Why does it freeze like that? Like it's completely frozen. I can't do anything. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I guess we're good, but I'll have to read my comments on my phone now because my screen just completely froze. Spencer Fano to play guard? No, Spencer Fano is a tackle only, in my opinion. Robbie. Do you think if it makes sense for the new GM to keep McDaniel for a couple years and if things don't work out, you can use him as a scapegoat? I mean, I think there's a scenario where the new GM would want to keep McDaniel. I don't know if he's necessarily thinking to use him as a scapegoat, but I mean that might be something he's thinking down the line, Um, and it also just might be something like Stephen Ross might just tell the new GM